No, you don't want to. No, don't gnaw on that. No, this is for professional use only. What are you doing? No, give me it. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode with Ref King and Mr. Tango here. Today, we're going over some tool use and some of the different modalities that go with using tools. And normally in the past, we've referred to tools as, our hands and our arms, tool use. But today, it's going to be more like additive tools, kind of like extra tools, external tools, just something that will help you get along through the session and all the different fun modalities that go along with it and why you should do it. So let's go ahead and get right into it because there are some wonderful, wonderful tools here, some of which we've gone over before, but let's go ahead and get right into it. So the stone, your very basic river stone, right? This can be used for hot stone massage. Hot stone is a fantastic modality. It's been around forever, and just as it sounds, you're using hot stones to glide over the body. They can even be stationary. You can leave them in one spot and just let the body soak up that heat in that area there. It's fantastic along the spine. This is something that I definitely can do. I just don't like all the prep that goes into it. I guess that's just really laziness on my part, but it is a fantastic tool to have because that heat there encourages blood flow to that area. So you're really encouraging what massage is already doing. You're just doing it better because you've got a hot stone, right? So in using that tool, you can kind of use like the edge to work like a knot or something like that, so you're not having as much pressure on your hands. So it can be awesome to use. Again, for me, I don't like the prep that goes into it. It's a little easier if you're using a skillet versus the water alternative, but even then, it is something something extra that you have to clean at the end of the day. I guess all these tools are, really, but let's go ahead and move on from there. This, I'm sure you recognize as a miso spoon, right? You would normally use this for soup. So what the heck is it doing with a bunch of other massage tools here? Well, this is one of the best tools that I've come to use for gua sha. Gua sha, I believe it's referred to as Graston here in the States. It's really just a scraping technique. And if you haven't seen somebody use a spoon before, I'm sure you've seen somebody use like a really fancy stone. Now, the fancy stone is very fancy and it looks really cool, especially when you pull it out and, kind of like glimmers in the light a little bit. It looks a lot cooler than your very humble spoon here. But for me, I think the spoon, you have so much more control over it. The edge is just perfect. Really, that simplicity is your friend. You have a better handle on it. It's just overall easier to use and you get better results with it. And I thank Jen Roseman for that, of Breath of Life Acupuncture. She's one of my favorite people, and she's the one who has suggested that. And so when I started getting into gua sha, which can be radically effective, if there's ever a really stubborn area that I just can't get to budge with massage and stretching, I suggest doing gua sha. Why I don't immediately go to it is much like with cupping, which I don't have on the table here. What's going on? But much like with cupping, it leaves that mark afterwards. And there are a lot of people who are, for some reason, self-conscious about that. I like to deter that. I think we should be able to accept that healing will sometimes leave marks, will sometimes have a reaction. I think that should just be okay. I think as a society, we should just be able to handle that as adults. But that is one reason why I don't immediately offer it, because a lot of people can be intimidated by that. But point being is a simple spoon here and kind of stretching out the area and just scraping along it. And scraping sounds so invasive, but I mean, really you want like a certain tact to it, right? You're not like gliding along it. You're really, it's kind of accurate to describe it as a scrape. But I think it feels awesome. Just so wildly good. It's like scratching a really deep itch. Along my scalenes through here, oftentimes is where I need that at. And because they can get so tight that just regular massage through there can either irritate the area, or I'll just, it'll hit like a lot of nerve type stuff, so it'll jump a lot more. Using gua sha, I can kind of just plow right through a lot of that. But let's go ahead and move on with some of these tools here. We went over this in another video, but these are T-bars, right? And here's just a couple of different styles right here. Hey buddy, you got something to say? What's your favorite tool, Tango? Is it the T-bar? The T-bar is one of my favorite tools as well. Now, with the T-bar, this is great for taking pressure off of your knuckles, as you would assume, because we get all the pressure on here versus on here. Great for working trigger points. When we talked about it, we had talked about it in chair massage. And I think this is awesome in chair massage to kind of like hold it like this. Oh, hey buddy, I'm gonna move you just a little bit here. I like to hold it like this and just use the tip here as kind of like an artificial knuckle in a way. And this is just great for working big muscle groups. And as you can see, there's like a pointed end here. No, you don't want to, no, don't gnaw on that. No, this is for professional use only. What are you doing? No, give me it. Give me it. So we have a pointed end, and we have more rounded ends. I like to use more rounded ends as they don't feel so invasive. No, you can't eat it. No, you can't eat it. But again, I think it's just so you stay away from that. He's like an animal. Oh, there's no satiating him. I might have to give him the T-bar. I'm not going to give him the T-bar. So for me, whenever I'm doing chair massage, really any kind of clothed massage, I like to have a T-bar with me, as the clothes can just kind of tear at my knuckles a little bit more. Of course, I'm trying to use the elbows if I ever feel like my knuckles aren't going to be sufficient. But the T-bar is just, it feels nice. It feels really, really nice to work with. You can amplify a lot of your power because you're not relying on your own joints. You can kind of lean into this tool. And for a lot of people out there, they think that it can be, I mean, just looking at it, like I've had a chiropractor before look at me and be like, you use that on people? It can look a little much, right? Like it's a weapon. But I think with a little bit of finesse, with some empathy, no, buddy, you don't want to gnaw on that. No. You can definitely get the hang of it, and it could just, people won't even know you're using a tool on them. That's how good you can get with it. But let's continue to move on here. So this here, I'm sure we've all seen kind of the wider version of this. This is a long elastic band here. This is muscle floss. Muscle floss is fantastic self-care, and it is something that I like to use on clients as well. Most of the time to just get a head start on whatever we're working on, especially if it's something on the extremities. Like if someone comes in complaining of elbow pain or wrist pain, like let's floss out the area and then massage it, because that can give us kind of like that boost, right? Muscle flossing for me has always presented itself as being something that has a radical effect that doesn't take a lot of effort, that can be done in a very short time. Whether I'm performing it on somebody or they're performing it on themselves, I use it all the time. In fact, this right here, I credit with why I still can do massage therapy. There are a lot of numbers out there. When I was going to school, it sounded like 3 years was the average that a massage therapist would last before their hands just gave out on them. So I've been doing this since 2008. I'm still going strong, right? So I've definitely gone past 3 years. I hear the number now is up to like 5 years, maybe 7 years or something like that, which still really isn't a long time. I think a lot of those numbers, though, are due to people not taking care of themselves, not being physically fit enough to perform this job. I think the number is going up like that, though, because more and more people are becoming aware that you do have to work at it. You do have to work at yourself. It is a physical job. Like, I know a lot of the time when people think about massage, they think like fluff and buff, and we just listen to chill music all day and just rub lotion on people's backs, and there's nothing to it. I actually had one person, I remember being at Target, and I had a Massage Envy shirt on. I'll get into that later in another video. But the person looked at me and was like, it must be nice to get massaged all day. And I was so confused because their perception of what I did was not that I gave massages, but that I got massages for a living, which is just wild. But I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to more tool use. And maybe this guy here will start to settle down just a little bit. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But let's go ahead and move on to this guy. So this looks like a giant protractor, and that's because it essentially is. This is a goniometer. Not something that's frequently used. I think it should be used a lot more. What it is essentially is, like I said, a protractor, and it's used to measure movement. So if you have somebody, and really this is more, I guess this would be for clients and massage therapists. Massage therapists, this is a great tool for you to use if your client can't fully or won't fully acknowledge some of the progress that they're making in your note taking. If you have a number value to place to what their range of motion is at, then you can show that the treatment is helping. Clients, if you're not sure how much the treatment is helping, maybe you feel better, maybe you don't feel better, maybe you ask your massage therapist about the goniometer so you have a numerical value to put to how well you're doing, and really, if you're trying different things in your treatments and you're not sure the effectiveness of it, again, this can clear a lot of that up for you. Just before the session, maybe you're having some trouble raising the arm here. I mean, you would just measure that out. You would measure that out, and then after the session, do it again. Really not that exciting, but really a valuable tool to help show the client just how well your work is in service, how well your work is servicing them, how well it's helping them and benefiting them. I'm sure we've all seen something like this before. This strip here. This is Kinesio Tape. It's becoming a lot more popular. I mean, there was this really big jump in popularity with it maybe a decade ago, and it's only grown since then. I really think it should be a common practice in just about everybody's toolbox. Not just massage therapists and physical therapists. I'm talking just your average weekend warrior, your average Joe. Like, you should be aware of Kinesio Tape. It's one of those things that I find is just so wonderful. I mean, just so radically awesome. It's light. It's not invasive. For minor injuries, it is something that will probably take care of them pretty well. For major injuries, it might not have that big of a difference, just from what I've noticed. But it's something that you can just put on and know that you're helping yourself. It's like the minimal effective dose for self-care, in my opinion. And it can have a really, really cool effect on you. It's basically just stretchy tape. It's not, there's no medicinal aspect to it besides that. But what's happening is, as you put this stretchy tape on the body, as the body is stretched out, and then you go into a non-stretched position after the tape is on the body, there's a couple of things that happen. One, with the tape on the body, it creates a stimulus, and our brains, as advanced and as amazing as they are, can only process so much stimulus at once. So that stimulus of the tape might actually interrupt your pain cycle, and actually might interrupt the signal of pain, which is awesome because you're going to have an immediate pain reduction. On top of that, what it's going to do is it's going to talk to the other muscles in the area, just because there's a stimulus there. Kind of like if somebody mentioned sitting up straight as you were at your computer watching videos. You might sit up straight because there's that stimulus that's created there, or maybe somebody came by and rubbed your back, and that kind of gives you that cue to stand up or sit up straight, right? In the same sense, if you were to put tape in an area, man, he really wants that TBar. Boy, are you sure? It really isn't that tasty, man. I mean, you can't tell me you got a lot out of it on those first few chews. But what this tape's going to do is convince the muscles in the area to work in a more synchronous manner. And this is a beautiful thing, because sometimes we have muscles that overpower other muscles, and this can also cause pain. So by doing that, you're creating a more stable area. On top of that, when we stretched out the tape and we stretched out the muscle and then we put you in a non-stretch position, you might notice that the tape sometimes wrinkles up. And this wrinkling effect is awesome because what it does is it creates a pressure gradient. And this pressure gradient is what's going to help inflammation and lymph move out of the area. I've actually had it before where I've taped an area over a bruise, and after I removed the tape, where the tape was, the bruise was gone. And then very shortly after, the rest of the bruise followed. But he's crazy today. But my point being that it can help with inflamed areas that have a lot of lymph, like lymphedema in the area. It can help move all that out. So it's just one of those tools that I think is great for self-care. I think it's fantastic for the massage therapist. If you get to the end of a session and your client doesn't feel as good as they want to, our natural inclination is to work more. Don't work more. You might work backwards, right? Like you might do too much work. Putting tape on the body is kind of an easy way to continue to do work without doing too much work. This is something that's going to help comfort the area versus overstimulate it. Just in my experience, this has always been the case with that. Now, moving on from there, I have Deep Blue Rub here by doTERRA. I don't necessarily endorse doTERRA, but the point that I'm trying to make with this is a topical analgesic. Topical analgesics are fantastic, in my very humble opinion, because basically it's just an ointment you're putting on yourself and you're feeling better and you're moving better. I think that's what really, really matters, is if you can feel better and move better, you're going to stimulate that healing process. So in our massage, that's of course what we're trying to do, is reduce pain so you can move better. And if a cream is going to help you along with that process, like, why wouldn't you use it? I really like using CBD cream. It can be a little pricey at times. We don't charge for our upgrades, so anybody who does receive CBD cream, you're not paying extra for it in your session. I do like to involve BioFreeze and some of the Deep Blue at times, because breaking that pain cycle, again, is going to help you move better. And when you can move better, like that's typically what the body needs to reset. Like we're made to move. That's how we heal. So at times when we have that pain and we can't move, we can't heal the way that we want to. So something as simple as that can get us back on track. And of course, we've got the Silicone Cup here. So the Silicone Cup, cupping, I'm sure we've all heard of it. It typically leaves those like octopus looking marks on the client. I don't know why people still make a big deal out of that. I mean, it's 2022. We've seen plenty of cupping marks on people by now. It's not this like crazy thing. Like, you should be able to get cupping done and not have a reaction from the public because of it. Nor should you feel self-conscious because you have these marks on you. And I find a lot of people who don't get cupping don't get it for that reason, because they don't want the marks, they don't want the questions and the comments and all this or that. I think that's baloney. You should get cupping because it's awesome. Now, if you're going to do it for self-care, get the silicone cups. Heck, if you're going to do it as a massage therapist for your clients, get the silicone cups. There's several different kinds that you can get. There's the hand pump. That isn't silicone, that's plastic, but it's still very useful. I guess what I'm trying to say is the glass is totally unnecessary, and there's so much more work to it that it just doesn't pan out. It really, really doesn't. And being able to practice with it is so much more costly and just requires a lot more technique. Just about anybody can use a silicone cup. Now, most people ask me, what is cupping actually doing? Now, a lot of massage techniques press into the bone, press the muscle down to the bone and the fascia with it. Cupping is going to pull, not push, but it's going to pull away. So we get this complementary effect with our massage. So we're pressing into the muscle, we're pulling away from this muscle, and much like the tape, that also creates a bit of a pressure gradient, right? So I can pull blood to an area, like really get like a lot of circulation in that area, or I can pull along an area and kind of encourage fluid to move up a limb. But the biggest part, I think, is that pulling motion is great for encouraging the fascia to lengthen. And you can glide with this up and down the back, so you can get whole sheets of fascia to just let go just a little bit, just enough. And I think this is a wonderful complement to the massage. On top of that, if you got like a really stubborn knot that just doesn't want to give, you can just place this in a static position, stationary position over that knot, and you're going to have a probably a better chance of getting that knot to dissipate. Again, this is just some silicone. You can get it off of Amazon. Amazing self-care. I find this is one of those things that helps me with my IT bands in a lot of ways. Like IT bands can be a bit on the stubborn side. And really, I know the argument's always been like, you don't need to lengthen IT bands because they're supposed to be tight to help you stand. Like, I get that. But sometimes they just feel too damn tight. Like, let's get real for a second. Sometimes we want to feel a little bit of relief, a little bit of space in that area. So cupping can be a great way to kind of glide back and forth over it, or even just kind of leave it kind of closer to the attachment where you get that nice cluster of trigger points around there. Oh, it can feel so good through there. And last, but certainly not least, we have our vibration device. And that's really what it does. It vibrates. It's pretty handy. That right there can really save you a lot of trouble if, let's say, you need to do an extra amount of vibration in a session. I like to add vibration into my lymphatic massages. I think and have seen it have a pretty awesome effect when it comes to swelling, when it comes to pain management in general. So again, great for self-care, great to use on the client, because vibration itself isn't a hard technique to do, but when you do a lot of it, it can really fatigue the body. So when you have a machine to do it for you, it just makes it that much easier. Something like this works awesome. It's maybe $100, maybe $120 online. So well worth the investment. I've had it 5-6 years now. I've gotten a lot of use out of it. It's just a great tool and something that gets overlooked a lot. Really, vibration itself can just have such a big effect on your different systems of the body. I would definitely recommend you get a whole body vibration device. It's done me really well. I use it often. Help with my posture, help with my recovery process after a workout. Overall, I feel a lot better when I use it, and I put a lot of faith in vibration because of it. I hope you got a lot out of today's video. I'm so sorry for this young man right here who just could not control himself. But beyond that, I really appreciated your attention today. I really appreciated being able to teach you something about massage. Go ahead and check out my book. I think it's pretty awesome. I think right now is a good time to mention too, I'm coming out with a second book, and it's going to be just as awesome. Go ahead and visit the site below to schedule your massage with us. And well, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you in the next video.